All right, episode 7. We got Bill Mayfield here with us. What's going on, man?
What's happening, man?
Not too much. Monday like normal.
Yeah, hey, before we get this podcast started, I wanted to thank everybody that tunes in and watches every week. I also wanted to take a brief moment of silence for it being the 16th anniversary of 9/11. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Quite enough.
Yeah, we do have a little girl in studio with us today,
Yeah.
so you'll probably hear some gibberish in the background, and that's totally fine because she's adorable.
Yeah, I also wanted to take this moment and also be, I hate doing this, but we kind of have to do it for the podcast. We got a few pages up. We just started a Patreon account. If you wanted to support us, you can do so at www.patreon.com/takecover. If you guys like to donate, that's great. If not, it's fine too. Me and Jacob love doing this. It's a hobby of ours that we appreciate doing. If you don't want to, you don't have to. We do this because we enjoy it. So just thought I'd throw that in there. And Jacob, take it away, man.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, we got Bill Mayfield here with us. He runs and owns Hidden Samurai here in
Hidden
Owensboro.
Samurai Martial Arts, yep.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
I'm originally from Owensboro, graduated from Catholic High in 89, went straight into the military, spent 10 years in the Air Force, and I say the Air Army because I spent most of my time with the Army. I spent more time in Camp Doha, Kuwait than most Army guys.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So you spent 10 years in the Air Force?
10 years, yep. I got out. I found out my ex-wife was pregnant with my son, and I tried to get a cadre slot at a big school and was turned down by my commander, so I was done.
I gotcha.
I put my kid to sleep every night for almost 18 years of his life, so
Can't beat that.
nah.
Yeah.
I
Some
wouldn't
things are
wouldn't
worth
trade it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we're all. Did you have deployments too?
Oh. I started deploying shortly after I hit my first base. Graduated basic training and Security Police Academy and all that fun stuff with the Air Force. Ended up in Lakenheath, England, was my first base of station, and got a hit Lakenheath in about May of '90, and by August I was sitting in Al-Kharj, Saudi Arabia, in support of Desert Storm. So,
Yeah. The choice to leave the military was family reasons, of course.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would assume.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. At that time, basically I walked into my commander's office, and out of the 10 years I was in, I was deployed for almost 7 of it. So
You had your fill.
yeah,
I could understand that.
I had seen more than most Air Force guys had seen. Like I said, again, I spent most of my time with the Army. What little time I did spend with the Air Force, I was with the Jolly Greens, pararescue guys out of Herbert Field, doing security measures most of the time for them.
What was the coolest thing you got to do? Well, 10 years.
LAPD Vegas SWAT School.
Really? What was that about?
It was 6 days of just massive, intense shoot of houses, tons and tons and tons of tactics, and 14, 18 hours a day of just, guys screaming and yelling at you, hitting you with, cattle prods as you did room entries to simulate bullet hits, and,
That'll do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurt. Yeah, cattle prod.
Yeah, cattle prod to the leg definitely let you think you got hit by a round.
What was the craziest thing? You were an Air Force cop, right?
Yep.
So what was the craziest thing you seen?
That
you want to talk about anyway?
Doing clearing activities in Saudi right outside of Dhahran, and walking into courtyards in the middle of what was like hotels and stuff, and seeing charred outlines on the walls of what used to be a human being.
Holy cow! Was that just from where a missile had dropped and just incinerated everything?
Yep. And then walking in, like a lot of the bases, a lot of the air base over there, you'd walk in and there'd be a 30-foot hole in the top of this huge concrete bunker, where everybody back here got to see it because it looked like just this little missile that with an X on it, and all of a sudden everything went boom, and then you stand inside of the place where it was actually blown up. It was pretty intense.
Yeah.
It was cool. But when I went, again, I deployed everything from Desert Storm all the way up through 99 was my last year in, and I deployed the very end of '98 into '99. So, and I made a trip through Saudi, Kuwait, UAE, Bahrain. So,
Is that what made you get into martial arts? Was the military, or were you in it previously?
no, I was an angry kid growing up, and my parents would never put me into martial arts because they were scared to death it was going to make me even more angry.
Like a bully type thing? Yeah.
Yeah. And the police academy taught me enough to get me hurt. And I literally I knew that because not too long into coming back from Desert Storm and doing everything, I had to go break up a bar fight. Lakenheath, England was a joint base, so it's a Royal Air Force base. So there's all kinds of NATO allies over there, and they had this wonderful beer called Grolsch, and it comes in a stoppered bottle, literally like an old flip top cork top, and the bottle itself is empty. The bottle is probably a pound.
Wow.
And this guy cracked me across the bridge of the nose, and I tried to do a big upper block that they had taught us, and he went right through it and crushed my face.
Wow. Break the nose?
Oh, yeah, my nose is...
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh.
It's gone. It did. They did what they could without having to do plastic surgery and all that fun stuff. I had to wear that goofy plastic face mask for like 3-4 months. So...
Is that the most substantial injury you obtained?
Well, I was in the military, yeah. I mean, I've had knees completely destroyed, hyperextended and dislocated, and tore my shoulders up. During my martial arts career, I fought professionally for about 10 years.
Really?
Yeah, I had 130 something fights.
So what's your
full contact Muay Thai?
Full contact Muay Thai? That's pretty cool. What would you say of all the things you're trained in and you're certified to instruct? Because like the list is never ending. Seems like. What would you say your like number one go to specialty is?
Bikini Tertia Kali.
Right. See, I wanted to say it, but I didn't know how.
Yeah. Bikini Tertia Kali is a Filipino martial arts system. It's literally the English translation of it is close quarter battle, close quartering combat. It's all weapons all the time. Even empty-handed is still considered weaponed, just because of the way we're taught how to use our hands. We don't box like boxers.
She likes that door
She
stop.
loves that door stop.
Oh, we all did as kids.
Yep.
Yep. We learned to move like boxers, but it's a lot of. You guys got an adult crowd. Bikini Tertia is still a warrior art. 1,000%. We're taught how to put the enemy down fast and hard.
That's awesome.
So
I mean, that's it. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Of any martial art.
Well, should be.
Right.
Should be. Again, that's
Some are angled differently than others, which is why there's different variations.
Yeah. But most of them are attempting to kill your opponent. I mean, not in the literal sense,
heart.
but
Yeah, at
stopping
heart.
your opponent and preventing them from continuing to offer a threat to you, I guess.
Yeah.
In most martial arts, that's not speaking for all.
Well, that's what they're supposed to be.
Right.
That's what they were created to be. Along with the black belts that I've busted my rear end to earn over 30 years.
What do you have black belts in?
Oh Lord, I knew you were going to go there. Japanese jiu-jitsu, a system called Okumaru Bujutsu out of Fort Collins, Colorado. It's a big, huge, eclectic thing. I like to call it the Japanese version of JKD, of Jeet Kune Do. I'm an instructor in Jeet Kune Do, Filipino martial arts, Malaysian Silat, catch wrestling, pancration. I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm Brazilian jiu-jitsu through Bruce Shepard in Evansville. Been doing it for 12 years now, so I've got my fingers crossed that I've worked hard enough to earn my
pretty
black
close
belt.
then.
Yeah,
Right.
we're a very traditional crew. The head of our lineage, I guess you'd say, is Grandmaster Mansour. Who's the guy that Elio Gracie turned Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu over to, and told him to run with it
Really?
before he passed. Yeah, Chico's he's an intense old dude. When people talk about Yoda, I'm like, that's the guy right there. I mean, this literally, and it's you can find video of it on YouTube. I'm pretty positive, but Chico's actually opened his gi before and showed you where he had a 32 caliber revolver. He was a federale in Brazil, and he got 6 shots in the chest with a 32 revolver and choked the guy to death.
That's the epitome of a bad man.
Oh, yeah. That dude is.
Absolutely.
He is. And I mean, he's a sweet old dude. He pick up that little baby and throw her around and play with her and coo and caw, and he'll get his hands on you. And I mean, he's 70, I think 78 now, and he will still choke you just absolutely stupid.
Wow.
I mean, he's yeah.
So you also trained at an Olympic center.
At the Olympic Training Center.
Were you in the Olympics?
No.
Or you just trained there?
No. That's where I got a lot of my wrestling training, judo, weightlifting. That's where I did most of that at. I spent off and on for about 6 years down there. Again, being in the Air Force, we got to go down to the Air Force Academy for football games, basketball games. Basically, anytime we really wanted to, we could take a trip to the Air Force Academy. Well, the Air Force Academy and the Olympic Training Center are literally like Air Force Academy's on one side of the road, Olympic Training Center's on the other side of the road.
Right.
So the Air Force wrestling team would go over and train at the center in the wrestling room. Mm-hmm. And so we just kind of like filtered through, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go lift." "Oh, okay, cool. Where are we gonna go lift?" "Oh, the weight room's right down here." "Oh, seriously?" "Oh, crap, dude. That guy was on the Olympic platform last year." Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm going back in the other room. I don't need to be in here.
That's badass.
I don't need to be in here. And I mean, I saw guys down there wrestling. I saw Kevin Jackson and a couple other people wrestling. Monday, he was down there a couple times while we were there. Ex guys who'd been on the Olympic team would swing back through, and they'd bring them in. The coaches would bring them in to kind of help out kids that were wrestling from time to time. So, of course, back then I was too dumb to say no to anything. So they're like, "Hey, you want to come in and wrestle?" "Sure." An hour and a half later, I limp and crawl out the door.
I know that feeling. I was telling Chase earlier today. I used to be on the Explorers with OPD. Do you know what that is? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just for anybody who doesn't know what that is. It's just for like kids who are interested in becoming a police officer. They take you in and they show you kind of what cops do, and like you get to practice doing traffic stops on like parked vehicles and stuff like that. It's pretty fun. Well, one of them was they had their Krav Maga instructor come in, and I was about 150 pounds at the time and still in high school, and he held up a padded chest suit type deal, and he was like, "All right, I'm gonna need somebody to like demonstrate on for the class." And without even thinking about it, my hand just shot up, and I got my ass whooped up and down that place.
Yep, that is the newest system, the newest program we've added to the academy is Krav Maga.
He gave me a body kick, I'll never forget it. It knocked the breath right out of me.
Yep,
and it didn't stop.
Nope. And back to what we were kind of talking about a little while ago about the martial arts side that's what all martial arts to me should be, is destroy the enemy. Mm-hmm. And that's why I added the Krav Maga system in. I spent 20, like I said, I was 10 years full contact Muay Thai guy. Fought in Salt Lake City, Utah, Wyoming, New Mexico, South Dakota a lot. And ring sports really don't hold much appeal to me anymore.
Like boxing, UFC.
Yeah.
You don't like UFC? Oh, man. See, I eat up some UFC.
Yeah, but hardly anybody fights to win anymore.
Hey, have you seen Conor McGregor?
Well, that's why I said hardly.
That's why everybody's
anybody.
watching it now. I mean, honestly,
anybody.
They've got a whole lot more following now because of Conor McGregor.
Yep. And because he brought that idea back, and he came from a gym. I've trained with a bunch of the Straight Blast gym guys for years. I love those guys. One of my original instructors is a Straight Blast gym guy now. So it was like, if I hadn't hooked up with the people that I hooked up with, I'd probably be running a Straight Blast gym, just because they delve out into those still combat systems
What define a straight blast gym?
Well, it's the marketing of the gym. It's called the actual gym. It's kind of like Gold's Gym and Powerhouse and all that stuff. Straight Blast Gym is their own run, and they do a mixture of kickboxing, boxing, wrestling, Muay Thai, judo, but their whole goal is through aliveness. A lot of systems nowadays train like really repetitive, dead style. You do, I do, you do, I do. Mm-hmm. And Straight Blast Gym doesn't believe in that stuff.
I gotcha.
So people figured it out. I saw a whole bunch of people after the Conor boxing match, and I did watch that. Somebody sent it to me, so I watched it. And I thought he did pretty good until he gassed.
Yeah.
For a guy
it was very noticeable,
yeah,
too. He
for
went
a guy
spaghetti leg.
that did I think like 18 or 19 amateur boxing bouts 12 years ago. For a guy like that to step up and fight the supposed best boxer, of the generation and go 10 rounds with him and rock him a couple of times, I'd say dude did pretty good.
Yeah, he did pretty
Most of the
solid.
internet warriors that
Absolutely.
talk crap about it probably would have lasted about the first 30 seconds.
I don't want to go
Yeah.
too far off track here,
Yeah.
but I did read that there's a conspiracy about it where Mayweather paid McGregor off.
Oh, I guarantee it.
So, like, a lot of people, that sounds crazy, but here's my logic on it, okay? So, McGregor, from McGregor's standpoint, if he loses, he's still loved. He'll go back to the UFC and keep doing what he's doing.
And he still made
Two-time
$100 million.
champion. Exactly. McGregor at heart is a money man above all else. He came from nothing, and now he's on the up, and he wants to keep going up.
Yep.
Hence why he made his own Irish whiskey brand now and a suit line that says "fuck you" on it. So, and then put yourself in Mayweather's shoes, and if Mayweather had lost, he would have completely ruined boxing because boxing is on a significant downhill that nobody watches it anyway.
Yeah, it has
so
been for years.
if he would have been fucked up by a UFC guy, everybody would be like, okay, well, going to the UFC now. It would have ruined his 49-0 record.
Was it the second or third round? Conor hit him with a hook, like an uppercut hook combo, and you saw you saw Mayweather stagger and take a couple of steps
I believe
back.
it was the second round.
He hit him.
And then you see it was literally almost like it was a look of shock out of Floyd's face.
He's like, whoa.
But then you saw a change in McGregor.
Yeah.
And if that had been anybody who's watched that dude fight knows that if he saw that look out of anybody else in another fight, he'd have been on him like a shark on blood. And he backed off.
Yep.
So,
I've seen Conor throw 2 or 3 straight lefts, which we all know is a fucking murder weapon.
Oh, yeah.
And he only
Crushed
threw 2 or 3. He had him in range the whole time. You've seen him. Right hand out the whole time. And he never connected. He connected like 2 or 3 times, and that was early in the fight.
Hey.
And every time he connected, it literally pushed Mayweather back.
If you're going to call me up and say, hey, man, I'm going to give you $100,000. Let's get in there and throw down for 10 rounds, and I'm going to take you out in the later rounds.
$100 million.
$100 million.
Yeah.
You give me 100,000.
Yeah. Give me 1,000. I'll get my ass whooped all day.
You're gonna give me $1 million. We're good. You're gonna give me $100 million, dude.
Yeah.
Beat on me like I'm a freaking sack of meat.
Well, what is
care.
$100 million to Mayweather compared to having a 49-1 record? You know what I mean? That's where a lot of people are calling it out, saying it's bullshit. It was an honest sport, and now McGregor fans are just backpedaling. Oh well, this.
It's
oh well, that.
never been an honest sport.
But I don't know. It just seems
There's
like
been more boxing bouts thrown over the years, man. That's no.
MMA fights, kickboxing,
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu, everything has been. For the money, people do anything.
Not to be stupid, but I know from being on the inside of it. My last fight was in Sturgis, South Dakota in 2004. That was my last pro fight. And it was under MMA rules, so takedown submissions, everything was legal. And I was 34, 35, I think 34. And the kid that I fought was 19 and was trying to be an up-and-coming fighter. And they saw in the weigh-ins, I did everything. I cut down. We were fighting it at that time. It was cruiser, I think is what we were. We had like 190-pound catch weight, I think is what we did. And he weighed in at 188, and I weighed in at 190 and a half. And 5 hours later, I was back up to like 207, 210, and he was still at like 188. He didn't cut. He didn't do nothing. So I had this kid by almost 10, 15 pounds easily. And not to sound silly, but I had 34-year man muscle, and here's a 19-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And the last thing the promoter said to me, he walked into the. We were out at South Dakota at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, so we were in trailers, like RVs, and they had one corner had one RV, the other corner had the other. And the last thing the promoter says, he walks up into the trailer and he looks at me and he says, "Don't hurt this kid too bad. You're too old to have a career. He's up and coming."
Yeah. I mean, that's the promoter being like, I want to make some money.
Yeah, I want to make some money off this kid later on. I know you're
don't ruin him early.
Yeah, don't ruin him now.
Put him through the meat grinder, then him be like, I don't think this is the right thing for me, and then he loses.
So basically, I went out, I hit the kid twice, and we turned it into a grappling match, and I choked him out. And it was like, it was like when we got done, we invited a kid to our gym because he was from like the other side of Denver, and we were in Fort Collins. And it's like, dude, you need to come down and grapple with us. You evidently don't know much about the groundwork.
Probably the best thing to happen to the kid, though. Honestly,
I don't know. I think
imagine if you did say, "Oh, take it easy on him, let him work on you for a few rounds, and let him get the W," and then it just boosts his confidence, but it doesn't make him a better fighter, better competitor at all. So I mean.
I do know. I know from the inside. I know there was a couple of times at fights, and when I was fighting in South Dakota, the promoter would come in and kind of do the same thing. Hey, you've got 25, 30 fights already. Your original opponent backed out. You've got this kid that's got like 5 fights. Don't kill him. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you an extra 500. If you can take this kid, if you make the kid go into like second, third, fourth round.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll carry him through the 5th round for an extra 500. Sweet.
Absolutely.
That works for me. And then they're like, okay. Then my corner would look at me when we got back, and they'd whisper in my ear. They're like, they made your 500. Now put his ass out. I'm like, okay, we're done. So
yeah. So you've been on, so you've at least experienced that and understand it. So I got to ask you this, since you've experienced a lot of different martial arts and you've taught a bunch, I've heard criticisms of certain martial arts that are less effective than others, but I'm sure in your days that you've at least seen certain martial arts that aren't even considered martial arts. They're the BS martial arts that and you're laughing because I know you've probably seen a ton, because now you can see them on Facebook. All these guys are, and
the no-touch knockouts.
Those kind of guys.
Oh my God.
What?
Well, I'm talking about these
What's
guys.
a no-touch knockout?
Oh, the guy, you like run at him and he goes, and you like hit the floor and have this epileptic fit. It's absolutely ridiculous. Their
goal is to cause a seizure.
Yeah,
it seems like getting knocked out would be safer.
Well, that's what they basically end up doing is they challenge the wrong group of people, and some moron like me walks in and goes, "This is bull. I'm gonna run at you and you're gonna stop me by doing this," and I go. And just plow right over the guy.
That's insane.
Yeah,
Have you ever had any guys come into the gym or work with guys that thought they had some kind of idea of what they could do with some kind of weak level of martial art, and not even weak level, but weak style that they thought was more effective than they really were? I'm sure you've at least seen it, if not experienced it.
You found that doorstop again.
You got the doorstop. Yeah. It's not really prevalent now.
Right.
But again, I moved back here. I was gone for almost 18 years. I moved back in late 2004, early 2000. It was November 2004. Opened up Hidden Samurai in 2005, and I had hardly anybody around here knew grappling, knew jiu-jitsu. There was a small group of people who'd already started some of the training around here, a little bit, garage style on the side. And I came in from a professional team with. For what I thought was a pretty decent fight record and everything, but back then nobody knew about the internet, so there wasn't SureDog or any of that stuff. And you would when I first came back, I started an MMA squad. We'd have people come in, and we had boxers, we had wrestlers, we had karate people, we had taekwondo guys, we had people come in, and they're like, I don't think this stuff is what it is. And again, we're talking 2005. Yeah. and I would take one of my fighters who would, have 6 months, 8 months experience of training MMA, and here's a waiver, lock the door, here's the phone, here's my flip phone, flip phone look like a laptop.
Yeah.
Has more been established since then as far as the knowledge of what works and what doesn't work? And is there one that people tend to gravitate more towards than others?
Man, everything in martial arts is fads. I hate to say that, but it is. It's
Goes with fashion
fads.
trends.
Yeah. And now with the advent of the internet and people being able to contact information at the drop of a finger, I mean, not to be stupid, but when I was 18, I'd have never thought you could pick up some piece of electronics and pull up a movie for a kid in less than 2 minutes.
Have the whole world at your fingertips. It's insane.
So
yeah, nobody could have predicted that, though. To be fair,
Yeah.
So I mean, you got a bunch of people now that at least have some sort of knowledge, and that is one thing the UFC did do. The beginning days of it was a propaganda thing to get Gracie Jiu-Jitsu coverage, but it opened the world up to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And since Gracie Jiu-Jitsu opened the world up, you've had a bunch of other stuff come out from the woodworks, and again, like I say, fads. If you look at the history of just the UFC, you see the history of the fad that came through. You had the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu guys. Jiu-Jitsu ruled for the first 6, 7 UFCs, and then you had the wrestlers come through, and then they ruled until the kickboxers came through, and then by that time, everybody had enough time to cross-train that mixed martial arts became its own martial arts entity.
right? Because before, like when it first started, it was just these random guys that nobody really knew. They didn't have like a specialty or anything like that. The only person that ever came in with a specialty was Hoist Gracie, other than a few other guys that had kickboxing experience or a little bit of boxing.
Well, but I mean, you had karate people, you had judo people, you had boxers, you had wrestlers, you had taekwondo, you had karate, you had kung fu, you had all these different, but back then they were literally in their own box. They didn't step out of their box.
Right.
You would never see a boxer training wrestling.
Never.
You would never see a wrestler train boxing. You would never see a karate guy learn grappling. You would never see a grappler. The little known fact is Gracie Jiu-Jitsu has had strikes in it from the beginning. But it looked more along the boxing because boxing was pretty big in Brazil. So that's the fads came down the line, and over the past 13 years of having Hidden Samurai open in Owensboro, I've seen fads left and right. And I hate to say, as a business guy, I've had to use part of those fads.
Well, yeah, you got to do what works.
Yeah, it's part of people look at it as fads, and I look at it as effectiveness. Nobody knew anything about this area about Krav Maga. You talked about doing it with the police department. Nobody knew what Krav Maga was around here, so I did a whole lot of research into Krav Maga. I wasn't really impressed with a lot of it. There used to only be one main Krav Maga, basically like founding group. And it's now branched out. A bunch of their old instructors didn't like the business method that they were using, so they branched out and kind of started their own little associations. And each association kind of has its own way of doing things. And the people that I've associated with is United States Krav Maga Association, Mark Slane, and Mark is very much into, if you're not whooping somebody's ass, you're not doing Krav Maga right.
Seems proper.
If you are not just literally, if somebody walks up and put their hands on you, just short of you taking it to the point where you're going to go to jail for flipping the script on the guy, you should do everything in your power up to that point.
I gotcha.
And there are so many, again, that we kind of threw it back and forth earlier. There's so many martial arts out there that are still stuck in this is the way we did it in 1942. Yeah. But the problem is it's not. If you look at most of the martial arts systems that are being taught today, outside of stuff like Krav, Muay Thai, Filipino martial arts, Jiu-Jitsu. Man, they got the effectiveness of a fart in church. These people couldn't fight out of a wet bag if it had a rip in it. Because their idea is, oh, everything's got to be done under complete control. You can't touch me. If you hit me too hard, it's excessive contact. And katas and forms are the way people promote to black belt, and you're handing black belts to like 9-year-olds.
Isn't that where they're actually doing the motions in front of a judge, I guess?
Yeah, standing out in the middle of a floor, and I swear if you walked into it and you didn't know what it was, you'd swear they were standing in a beehive swatting flies. And it's like, where's your fighting applicability? Oh, well, here we're going to put these foam dip gloves and stuff on, and Hot Major Blink scored a point. No. And then again, that's my Muay Thai background is hey, how about we put 16-ounce gloves on and just to be safe, and I'll put kickboxing shin guards on just to be safe, and okay, now let's go. And when you try to wave off a fly, I'm going to crack you in the face so hard I'm going to make your toes hurt. And I'm gonna let you know. Put any of these guys in a boxing ring with a boxer and watch what happens to them. This stuff of swatting stuff out of the air is not gonna work. And that's what I love about Mark in the U.S. Krav is he's like, get rid of anything that doesn't work, and if it's not destroying the person who's coming at you, get rid of it. I'm the same way with my firearms. I'm a firearms instructor too. I have been since. Well, like I say, all my military and SWAT training, and I train a lot with, I hate saying operators, because most of these guys even hate that word. Most of the guys I train with now are like ex-Rangers, Delta,
Operators.
that sort of stuff.
I mean, that's what they are. That's what they are.
But they hate that word.
That word,
they
yeah,
hate that word.
it's been ruined.
Yeah, it's been bastardized.
Not to cut you off, I'm gonna stop the live stream. We're gonna keep talking on the podcast, but we're about 30 minutes in to the live stream. So you are a second degree black belt in one practice, first degree in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, brown belt in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and an instructor in at least 8 other practices. Yep. If people want to get in touch with you or visit Hidden Samurai, how can they get in touch with you? On Facebook, Twitter? It's
Hidden Samurai Martial Arts. I have a website. Just go in and Google hiddensamuraimartialarts.com. You can find us on Facebook at Hidden Samurai Martial Arts. You can email me at hsmaa@live.com. And you can call me on the phone.
Where are you guys located here in Owensboro?
1741 Sherm Road.
Okay. Yeah, that's just on the east end, right?
Yep. We're in the Shawnee parking lot right behind Kentucky Wesleyan.
Okay. And for everybody listening, I know I'm not in Facebook Live view right now, but we are. I'm announcing another giveaway right now. It's 2 tickets for a 60-minute jump at Sky Zone Trampoline Park in Evansville. So we're gonna end that, and we're gonna have a live drawing for it on our 10th podcast. So here in about 3 weeks, it'll be to kind of celebrate getting through 10 of these. If you want to enter that, I will post it up probably shortly after we get done with this podcast. And it'll be along the same lines as the other one. You just like our page and comment who you take with you. So
here, I'll add something to that for you.
Okay, go ahead.
How many likes you got so far?
We have 85. Our goal is to hit 100 with this giveaway.
You have 85.
Yep.
I'll give a free private shooting lesson.
Wow.
To the 100th person.
To the 100th like.
To the 100th like.
Everybody heard that.
Whoever number 100 is, as long as you're legal age.
Right.
And if you're not, then make sure you have parent or guardian permission. But I'll give a pre-firearms free private.
Wow. I appreciate that, man. Hell yeah. All right, guys, you heard him. So you get Sky Zone tickets, and the 100th like on our page gets a free shooting lesson with Bill here. So we're going to go ahead and end this.
So with continuing about your gym and what you've done there, there's a lot of people that love the sport of MMA or boxing or kickboxing, whatever it may be, but they're always scared to take that step. into the world. They may not know anything. They may be 15 years old. They may be 25. They might be 45.
Yep.
You know, they may be 65 years old, and they feel that maybe they can't defend themselves. They don't want to get a firearm, or they don't want to do any kind of legal stuff. They just want to get in better shape and learn some technique along the way, and maybe make a friendship or two. To those people, what would you say to them would be their best course of action as far as like achieving some of those goals?
That again goes to, you know, that's where I love the Krav Maga system. It's the workouts that come along with it. Take a boxing workout, a wrestling workout, and a jiu-jitsu workout and throw them all together.
That'll get you shredded.
And that's, I mean, in our average classes, I teach it twice a week. I teach it just because that seems to be with everybody's schedule. Two times a week is pretty much all anybody can really squeeze in nowadays. If somebody can squeeze in a third, they normally get a hold of me for a private workout. But 2 workouts, an hour and a half to 2 hours each workout, and people leave just drenched. They leave knowing that not only are they working out, but they're learning how to take care of themselves without the dogmatic approach, I guess is the...
Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying.
You know, it's not you're not standing in one place doing 500 kicks, 500, you know, and again, my Muay Thai roots is where that stuff comes from. At the end of a Muay Thai workout, we would do an average of 200 kicks with each leg, on 3 different kicks. So you'd end up throwing 600 kicks on each leg by the time you're done, just to go home, you know.
Wow. If you had to pick one martial arts practice and stick to it forever, and you couldn't do anything else, what would it be?
I would probably have to say Pakiti, because I've already been with it for 25 years, and it seems like everything comes back to it. But the caveat to that is Krav and Pakiti. Krav Maga looks a whole lot like unarmed Pakiti Tertia. Because we are hit them fast, hit them hard, take them down, do what you got to do to get out of dodge. And that's, you know, Pakiti Tertia being a weapon system, you know, it's kind of, you know, hey, if you got a knife, I want a baseball bat. If you got a baseball bat, I want a bigger stick. If you got a bigger stick, I want a gun. If you got a gun, I want an AR. You know, if you got a pistol, I want an AR. You got an AR, I want a 308 from, you know, half a mile out. You got a 308, I want a 50 cal from you know, twice that far. So it all seems to boil back down to those two, just because they are so closely akin to each other. Each one of them has ground game, very, very different from jiu-jitsu. Each one of them has stand-up. Each one of them has strikes, kicks, punches, knees, elbows, headbutts, you know, all of that. So, but again, you know, my 25 years of being in Pakiti Tertia would probably have to, if somebody went, that's the only one, that's it, because Pakiti Tertia also covers my firearms training. So
yeah, you do firearms training.
Yeah.
I know you at least used to. Do you still hold CCDW classes to certify?
I do them more on a private basis.
I'm gonna hit you up.
Yeah,
Turn 21 on the 24th.
I could ruffle a whole lot of feathers on this one.
Go ahead.
Okay.
This is a judgment-free zone.
All right. There are a lot of people who have never used a firearm for real. They've taken a couple of classes here or there, be it an NRA class, be it a Kentucky concealed carry, be it a, you know, whatever. And they think that going and taking a 2-day course for a state mandated program makes them a professional firearms instructor. And
Is that how you become a firearms instructor?
Yeah.
I've always wondered that.
You're 21. I'm a certified. I can give the class to certify you to be a concealed carry teacher. All you got to do is pay the $150 fee, come out and sit through the 2-day class.
That's it.
And do the course of fire over the 2 days, and you're a CCW instructor.
I completely agree with what you just said, because
it absolutely drives me nuts.
Seems like you'd have to have a little more background than that.
You should, but
prior military service should be.
In my opinion.
a mandatory, I think.
But see, the prior military. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say I agree with your point because when I took my concealed carry class, I sat in there, not going to say any names, of course, but the instructor I felt like did not do a very good job. I mean, he's pretty much like, you guys know, shouldn't shoot people if you don't have to, and it was basically just the legal stuff after that.
Here's the video.
Just the legal requirements, and that was
the legal requirements, and then the instruction portion, and I say that with my quotations. The instructor portion of it is: this is a gun, this is a slide, this is a frame, this is a magazine, this is where the bullets go, this is how you load it, this is how you unload it. You pick it up. They don't really even teach grip, stance, presentation, nothing. And then you go out. You don't do anything from concealed. You don't do anything from the draw. You shoot one shot at a time for 20 shots. That's the most crucial
part is drawing.
20 shots at a 2 foot by 3 foot target anywhere in the silhouette. 11 out of 20 shots, and you pass.
2 foot by 3 foot target.
20, and it's pretty darn big.
27 by 36, I think it's even bigger than that. It's a B-21. It's a B-21 target.
Is that a 53% accuracy?
It's bare. And
so
I mean,
fuck where the other 9 go.
Pretty much. And there are so many people that, I'm so happy, and they'll hold their target up and they miss the damn target 3, 4, 5 times, but they got their 11 out of 20, but they're here. And I mean, it looks like you hit it with a 12 gauge shotgun from 20 yards.
That's what half the people in my class looked like. I mean, it was, and a lot of them were using 22s, like small caliber guns.
And I mean, I don't care if you bring a 22. Yeah. If you can shoot a 22, and when we get to the qualification point, I go, okay, and I go up and I put you out at 7 yards, and I do the state required, okay, this 20 yards, one shot at a time, fire. If you're shooting a 22 and you have one hole in the target when we're done, I'm happy. Because all 20 of your rounds went in that one hole.
Yeah, true.
Because that one hole's not just going to be that one little spot, and all the rest of them are everywhere else. It's going to look, you're going to see all these little extra moons on the outside of that one hole. And, 22's, so small, but by the time it's done, it's going to look like that hole in the table.
Right.
Because all 20 of your shots went in that hole.
My dad wouldn't take me hunting.
Me
I
personally,
could put them in the size of a quarter.
Yeah, me personally, I think the standards should be for concealed carry. I believe the standards should be a lot stricter. I think you should have a 3-course minimum. You should have to take the fundamentals class. You should have to take a defensive handgun class that teaches you all about the draw. And then your third step should be the concealed, the actual, and everything in that course should be from concealed. We have a constitutional right to carry every day, open carry. Hey, let's bust it out.
Some people don't have that.
That's your right. As long as you're not a felon, you got that right.
If you're in Florida, they can't open carry. That's some shit.
Yeah,
see, I struggle really, really badly with the idea of I have to pay an instructor to get the course, and then I have to pay the sheriff's department to get the license to put my shirt over the handle. Yeah. Boom, now I paid $300 to put my shirt over the pistol. Yeah. And then, I've carried my everyday carry since I was 18. Yeah. Right? And so I'm used to getting the looks. Because, even in Owensboro, we are a very open-minded town when it comes to guns, especially compared to, more liberal towns, right? Yeah. But even so, going into anywhere, pretty much, people look at you like you're about to shoot up the place. And it's like, you're the last one that's going to shoot up the place.
Yeah, but then again, and I'll play devil's advocate on it, because, again, I don't mind ruffling some feathers here and there. You got some knuckleheads around here carrying guns on their hips that have... Just because you have the right to does not mean you need to.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you should.
Because, man, you look like a moron. You got the guy pocket carrying a little stub 38 in his coin pocket of his blue jeans with his fat roll that's covering the tops of his thighs.
I seen one the other day.
Oh my Lord, man!
It was a revolver shoved into one of those soft cases, the Walmart $5 ones that has a clip on the back, and then he shoved it into his pocket, and it was halfway hanging out. I was like, oh, come on, man!
Just run up and
just
completely disarmed.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff where I believe, that's why, to me, when you look back at the armament of the people in the United States through its inception till now, you had to know how to use your gun.
It was through the military mainly.
Well,
yeah.
everybody had to use it because if you didn't shoot your food, natural selection took care of you.
Yeah.
True.
You didn't shoot
Yeah.
and kill your food, your family didn't live. Or that's probably where vegan came from.
Yeah. See, like that's half of it, and then the other half of me wants to say that in order to even be able to get and purchase a firearm, you should have to go through a course like what you were talking about that covers from the basics to just naming the parts to safety, then
you have
range.
to for hunter safety.
And yeah, you do. You definitely do. But then again, the constitutionalist part of me wants to say, no, fuck that. We have the right to bear arms. There's nobody that needs to tell me I have to go through a class to bear arms. I mean, I went through hunter safety. My dad was a huge gun advocate. He taught me all about guns growing up, and now I love going to the range with my buddies, you know. But I know people who don't belong at the range.
Oh, yeah.
I see people there every time I'm there, and it's like, I really wish you weren't in the shooting bay with me.
Yeah.
Especially the guys who like to just wave their fucking pistols around in the shooting bay.
And now I will tell you, there's some you guys, you know, you said you're going to come train with me, and some of my people have, you know I've got some guys who are watching this now, and they've trained with me, and I tell everybody when you hit the range for my classes, like for my defensive handgun or comprehensive concealed class, or anything like that, I tell everybody, hey, I run a big boy range. I don't believe in range theatrics. I don't believe in a lot of crap that people are teaching nowadays, but it goes back to they have no background in it. They went to some course someplace. They were taught some stupid junk. Dumbest thing I've ever seen is doing your assessments after your shot. Pop.
Yeah, I've never understood that. I've never understood. What is the point of that? I've seen that in a lot of videos.
There is none. There is no point to it.
It's just for theatrics.
I love Pat McNamara. Pat McNamara, as far as like gun training, Pat McNamara is one of the kings as far as fitness and like actual. Why do you lift? Because you're a warrior. Why do you train? Because you're a warrior. Why do you shoot? Because you're a warrior. And his video just I almost, the first time I heard it, my buddy who's an ex-Ranger sent it to me, because Pat was actually one of his instructors in Rangers, and he's he pulls the trigger and he turns his head and he turns it. Fuck it, I'm done. I quit. And I'm like, that makes perfect sense. Range theatrics just I can't stand it. But most of the time it's because everybody is so safety. There's all these safety Nazis. Oh, don't muzzle anybody. Don't turn anybody. You better never cover anybody with your gun. Hey, dipshit, if you're in the mall and you've got 30 people around you and you have to pull your gun and shoot somebody, do you not think your muzzle's going to cover every other person in the area?
Yeah, it
when
will.
You're done?
I disagree with you, though. I disagree with you, especially at the range. I don't want any muzzles pointing in my direction.
No, not in an open range.
Okay.
That's why you will never see me at an open range.
Really?
You will never.
I bet that's
see me
so
at an
annoying for
open
people like
range.
you, like instructors. You go out there and you can't even enjoy yourself.
I don't
You're just
go.
looking around like,
That's why I don't go.
everybody needs instruction.
Yeah, that's why I don't go. I go to private ranges. I go to ranges during the week, during the day. Most of the places I go are kind of hey, when you're on the range, you're the only one allowed on the range. Mm-hmm. Sweet, thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nobody, anybody else comes out, and the only way they're on the range with me is if they're there for a lesson. I just. Again, I'll go back and regurgitate Pat McNamara. The reason you're training is to be ready if you ever have to use it. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're going out there and you're doing some stupid crap, yeah, okay, it's fun to go out and blow off ammo. But man, I'm not made of money.
I like to get a point out of my ammunition.
If I got a couple of 100 rounds, I'm doing something with that couple of 100 rounds. I'm not just out here blasting mag dumps, for the hell of it. And you see too many people go out there and the stuff they're practicing. You see bad form, bad stance, bad grip, bad trigger control, bad muzzle discipline. To me, is the last thing that I'm worried about with this person, because it's like, shit, I'm sitting here watching you shoot and you can't hit the freaking target over there. I don't have to worry about you pointing a gun at me because you can't hit me. My other pet peeve is the guy with the $1,000 gun with the 50-cent skills.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I bought this gun and I did all these upgrades to it, but I never shot it before I did these upgrades to it.
Doesn't the gun do the work for you?
Jacob,
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Oh,
Ass.
oh,
Fuck out of here.
I'm just
getting thrown under the bus.
No. I do spend a lot of money on my guns, but I like to think I'm pretty decent.
He's also, as far as discipline is concerned,
Yeah.
I'm very
I trust
safety
him at the
oriented.
range.
Yeah.
I know
That's
his
for
dad.
sure.
I know his
Yeah.
dad, so I
Yeah.
would understand that. And you know, again, that's when you're trained properly, you tend to train other people properly.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people who aren't trained properly training other people that are just perpetuating this dumbass cycle
Yeah.
of idiocy. And that drives me crazy. You know, I work out now just simply because the phrase I've coined lately, and I probably heard it from someplace, and I'm sorry if anybody knows who it came from. Please tell
Copyright.
me.
Here we go.
Yeah, please tell me who it came from. But I'm either eating the bear, or the bear's eating me.
Uh-huh.
So when I'm training, I don't care if it's Krav Maga, Jiu-Jitsu, Filipino, guns, weightlifting. It's just simply because if you grab a hold of me, I want you to think you just got into, like, you just grabbed a hold of a grizzly bear.
I have no doubt.
And that's,
I have no doubt.
you know, I've said for years, when I hit you, you know, I said it a while ago, when I hit you in the face, I want your toes to hurt.
Yeah.
If I hit you in the nose, I want your toenails exploding. when I grab a hold of you, the last thing I want you to see is your ass covering your ears. And then I'm going to throw you through the floor.
Yeah.
If it comes to the range, you know, that's again, we go back to the people that have never done it for real and don't understand it. This phrase absolutely drives them nuts. It's a gun fight. It's a fight with a gun.
Yeah. And often you have to have a physical altercation before you can even get to your firearms.
Exactly. So here's my thing, because I've never shot with either one of you guys. When you go to the range, just take a second and think about it. When you're standing there at the range without your gun in your hand, are you ready for a fight? Are your feet set? You know, we'll get into the physical stuff. Are your feet set? Are your knees bent? Are your hips set? Are your abs tight? Are you relaxed in the shoulders? When you draw, do you have all the slack taken out of everything so that your draw is as clean as it can possibly be? Then when you come up, if I walked up to you, you took 2 shots and had a slide lock, and I just simply walked up and said, release the gun, and I took it away from you, would you be in a fighting stance? Would you be in a boxing stance, a kickboxing stance? Would you be in a fight? And then I hand you the gun, now you're in a gunfight. Or if I hand you a knife, now you're in a knife fight. Or if I hand you a stick, now you're in a stick fight. That's not what people do.
I think you're so right about that.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Something that me and Zach do, you know Zach, he's got
I know Zach.
he's got a target, and it's a thick rubber, and it's a man's silhouette.
One of those Bob targets.
Yeah, we call him Jody. It's funny, but he's on a metal stand. And one of the things that we like to do, especially when there's nobody, well, only when there's nobody else at the range bay with us, we'll put him out in the middle, and then we'll practice like everyday encounters, like walking past somebody or standing in front of somebody with your hands up, and you have to fight them before you can reach for your weapon. Just practical scenarios, because to me, standing at the range and going, hey man, watch this, pow, 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 is completely different than any altercation you're actually going to get in. There will be very few scenarios, I feel like, very few people will ever even encounter a situation where they have to use their firearm for lethal force. But if you do, I don't feel like that scenario is often going to be in the situation of you have time to physically think clearly, draw your firearm slowly, and then walk around, you know, or even take your time with anything.
Oh, no.
It's going to be very rushed, rational decision.
And then the whole idea of the you know, the spatial check afterwards. I've had to fire a gun only a few times for real, and I'll tell you dead on, I couldn't take my eyes off of nothing.
Yeah, I'm sure there
was no leaving the gun here and moving my head. From the point that it went off a safe onto fire, bang, bang, bang. There was nothing but the sights and what was beyond the sights in my mind. Nothing.
Right.
For probably 15 minutes. So, I mean, you know, and then you get these guys, you know, again, a lot of the guys I train with have been in the crap, you know, 3rd Battalion Ranger, you know, Delta guys, you know, that sort of deal. So, and when you talk to them, they'll tell you exactly the same. It's like, hey man, you know, you go pop, 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 pop.
That's steel or paper.
And you're never, you know, when you're out on the range and you're just doing that and you're going, ha ha, yeah, this is it. Hey man, isn't that cool? Didn't I shoot a really cool girl? No, because when it's for real, there's somebody on the other end.
Yeah.
And, you know, my buddy's an ex-Ranger, 3rd Battalion, and he's like, dude, I've dumped 5.56 rounds in a dude's face with an AR, and he kept coming. He was dead, but he kept coming. And he had an AK in his hand, and he was still dumping in AK rounds at us. He's like, I hit him dead smack in the mouth, 5 shots, pop, 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 pop. And he kept coming. He said, I've taken a 9mm and shot a dude right in the face, and he dropped immediately. He's like, you know, skill and luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
Hope you got the skill.
Yeah.
So that to me is that has always been my pet peeve. And I go back to, I don't care whether it's martial arts. I don't care whether it's weightlifting. You know, again, my wife was a bodybuilder. We did a bunch of bodybuilding training. I learned how to build muscle for people. You know, I put a lot of muscle on since I was 25. My wife put a ton of muscle on when she was lifting. People have a different reason for doing that stuff. Most of it's physical fitness. I want to look good. I want to feel good. I want to do whatever. That's great. Yeah, competition. But when for me, my mindset is martial arts. Martial means military. Military means war. If you're not preparing for that, like you said, you know, hardly anybody, well, used to be, hardly anybody would have to use a firearm or fighting skills, you know, as long as you weren't with stupid people doing stupid things in stupid places, you didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But man, the stupid people doing stupid stuff is coming to you in stupid places now.
Yeah, they could be anywhere.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I mean,
you got to be ready.
We've had knifings in the mall here in Owensboro. Mm-hmm. We've had drive-by shootings all over town.
School lockdowns.
Yeah, school lockdowns left and right. You know, so it's not. Owensboro is not the cloistered little village it used to be. Mm-hmm. So again, that's my take on it is if you're not training for it and you're not prepared for it, get out of my way.
And you know, something that I kind of found was peculiar was like in my head, because recently I've been doing a bit of boxing work with Chase and Zachary Cox and some of my buddies. Nothing, you know, super professional, just getting the basics down and whatnot. But something I found peculiar was like in my head, I always thought, okay, you know, I had a couple fights when I was a kid. You know, like every fucking kid does growing up. Mm-hmm. But and from that in my head, I'm like, all right, if I get in a fight, I'm gonna whoop somebody's ass. No doubt, I'm gonna whoop somebody's ass. And that's the thought, right? You know, every guy's got that because he's got an ego, he's got testosterone. That's the thought. Yeah. Then when you put on gloves and you're facing somebody and you're like, I'm about to get punched in the face repeatedly, then it becomes and even just the physical part of it. It may just be me, but I feel like it's probably not. Especially, you know, people starting out doing physical shit. Mm-hmm. Getting in somebody else's personal bubble and having them get in your personal bubble, knowing that your intentions are to try to hurt each other.
Yep.
That brings you to something all in itself is just like getting yourself over that mental hurdle. And then to take that one step further with firearms, getting your step like, and once again, like I said, that mental hurdle is what I'm really focusing on here. Yep. Because even at the range, I can shoot this rubber dummy Jody all day long. Yep. But then when there's a person on the other side of that, then that's a completely different story. Which, you know, and everybody wants to think, oh, it won't be a problem. Yeah, it's going to be a problem.
Yes, it will be.
And if you think it's not, you're ignorant. The only people it's not a problem for are the guys who have killed a lot of dudes. And even then, it's still probably a problem.
Their first couple, it was a problem.
Yeah.
I watched a documentary on the Rangers one time. And I specifically remember a guy talking about being like 1943 something, when they were invading France and going against the Germans. And he said, you know, these guys are Rangers. They're the old school, you know, 1940 something, man. These dudes, when they went through training, they had live guns, they had live fire shot at them, they had live grenades thrown while they were training, you know, just to get them ready for war because they knew it was coming. And he said the first time he popped over this hedgerow and this German's running at him and the German's eyes got all big and the dude froze.
Yeah.
And he said, thank God there was another one of my Ranger buddies next to me that blasted the guy and put him down. He said, because I just froze.
And that second,
I
even
saw
if it was
his
just
face.
for a second, that
Yeah.
would be your life.
He said, I
Done.
saw his face and I couldn't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
You know, again, I go back to, you know, some of the range stuff that drives me nuts. You get the guys, oh, I'm here and I'm set and everything looks really cool. And then they draw and then they stand there. Bang. And I'm like, why did it take you so damn long to pull the trigger? By the time your arm's locked out, the first shot should have been going down range.
Absolutely. Yeah.
By the time you hit pop, it should have been gone. Mm-hmm. And they're, oh no, I'm working, I'm good with my follow-up shots. Well, I don't give a crap about your follow-up shots. If it takes you 3 seconds to get the first shot down range, you're dead.
Right. You won't have a chance to get those
the bad guy,
follow-up shots.
the bad guy's not gonna give you 3 seconds. He's the minute he sees something, he's on you.
Yeah.
You know, and I, you know, talking about the mindset stuff. Just ask, if you haven't talked to him about it, ask Jacob about knife fighting me.
Are you ask Zach?
Zach,
yeah.
Zach.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we talked about it.
Yeah.
He said it opened his eyes a lot.
Yeah.
Because you guys got into an altercation over that Facebook video, right?
Yeah.
That's when you guys kind of really talked to each other for the first time. And for everybody who doesn't know what's going on, there was a video of some, what was it, Japanese?
They were Korean Special Forces guys.
Korean Special Forces, and they were showing off knife fighting skills and techniques and shit like that. And Zach said, he shared it, and he was like, this doesn't do any good with 2 shots to the chest.
Yeah.
And he was like, they'll never be able to touch me with a gun in my hand. So Bill invited him down to Hidden Samurai for a knife fighting class. And he said it opened his eyes a whole lot to what could actually be possible with a knife.
You know, and that is, and the weird part about it is, you don't, I hate to say it, but you don't need a lot of training with weapons.
Really?
Oh, I mean, you know, you got people that, I mean, look at convicts in jail. Mm-hmm. You know, do they have, you know, Filipino martial arts skills? Did they get trained by, you know, world class, you know, knife experts? No, dude took a toothbrush, sharpened up one end of it, and shoved it in somebody's kidney. It didn't take a whole lot of training to do that.
No.
So,
You gotta
guys,
wrap it up for today?
I gotta wrap it up. I gotta jet and go teach a Krav Maga class.
Well,
I'm
hey,
sorry
man,
to do that, but
it's okay. I'm glad you're able to at least
Yeah,
spend
totally
some time
fine,
with
man.
us and sit down.
next time I'll have to schedule better. So I got somebody
Oh,
covering the class.
just in time?
Looks like that's
Just
it.
in
Yeah.
time anyway.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you coming in with us today,
Hey,
and we'll have
thanks
to have
for
you in
having
again
me.
for sure.
Right.
All right.
Appreciate
All
it.
right.
Appreciate
See you,
it.
dude.